welcome back to Newsday. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, as reactions continue to trail this week's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu, 4 out of the 6 state governors in the South-South geopolitical zone have unanimously condemned the action, saying there was no circumstance that necessitated such action at this point in time. The governors were led to express this position by Dayo of Bayelsa State, the chairman of South-South Governors Forum, which also includes Basi Otu of Cross River, Umoeno of Akwa Ibom, and Sheriff Oborobori of Delta State. Governor Monday Okpebolo of Edo State took a contrary position, throwing his weight behind President Tinubu's action in River State, but in the same breath recognized the rights of his brother governors to hold their own positions on the matter. Now, of course, we know that since then, Peter O'Day, Deputy Governor of Cross River State, has also expressed his reservation concerning this declaration and excluded himself from this particular position of the South-South governors, adding Cross River State to that. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us to look at this, as well as why the governors from the South-South are divided over the issue. Good right Mr. Sobowale. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Right, let's get straight into it. I won't speak plenty English. I know there's a lot to unpack. Of course, the obvious speculation would be this is divided along party lines. But can you break down your analysis of why you think this situation has divided the South-South governors?
Well, you have made my job easy by saying it's divided along party lines. I buy that. But then, you see, I think it is an unusual situation. It's a vibrant situation. And I see the positive side of it, which is that the rule of law is prevailing in Nigeria. Prevailing in Nigeria far more than it is doing in even the United States under Trump. Let me explain myself. Look at the judgment of the Supreme Court, that the governor was lawless and that there was no government there, and that he had literally sacked the legislature. I mean, it's a case of separation of powers and checks and balances. He closed the legislature. The Supreme Court closed him, literally, legally. And the president consummated that decision. The buck stops on the table of the president. You get me? We don't need to have a war on our hands before you can declare a state of emergency. You can do things anticipatorily. For those who say that he acted wrongly, I think they jumped the gun. They should have the grace to now come back that he has acted lawfully. The moment the legislature gave him the go-ahead, that is our constitution. He has the unalloyed support of both houses, and the buck stops on his table. This is, see, don't let us politicize security and stability. For now, the president of Nigeria is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whether you like it or not. And he has given his reasons. Let's listen to him. Let's leave it at that for now.
All right, Mr. Sobowale.
Yes.
You stated that the rule of law is being implemented in Nigeria, comparing it to other nations and the likes. And what the scenario you've painted sounds like the ideal. What the ideal case should be. But now that we're looking at the realities that's on ground in terms of the realities that's been...
The situation I've stated is the reality, not theory.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, but the
reality on the ground.
Reality based on your observation. Some people might say that that's not their reality,
that's
that
not
this
the matter
might be.
Of opinion.
Can I just...
That is the
I would just
rule
like to finish.
Of law.
Okay.
We have three arms of government, unless you do not know it.
I am aware. Can I ask my question?
Yes. I'll ask you a question.
Okay,
yes.
Great. So that's your opinion, that this what you stated is reality. Now, yes. Some people are experiencing their own versions of reality and not thrilled with how things are playing out, saying that things could actually get worse with this step that's been taken. How do we prevent things from the likelihood of getting worse so that this doesn't come back to make things a lot worse for the people of River State who this is affecting directly?
That's right. That is the power this president has invoked by appointing a sole administrator. You got me? The only thing I don't like about the appointment is that he has appointed an ex-military officer. I don't want anything that will remind us of military rule. That's the only thing I don't like. Otherwise, he has acted according to the Constitution. And we all know this crisis was brewing all along. He intervened before, and people were saying, why did he need to intervene? That he was trying to impose his party. He intervened, and the intervention failed. And we are at this impasse now. Anyway, just before the state of emergency was enacted, the trouble brewing in the House was to impeach him. The impeachment articles and the offenses were listed in all the newspapers. And the Supreme Court noted that it's because he was trying to prevent the impeachment. That was why he didn't allow the House to hold. A situation whereby you are passing budget with 4 people out of 32, that is not democracy. We discussed it here sometime, and I said it's a game of numbers. That is the rule of law. Let's face it. People may disagree, but what is on the ground that I'm telling you now is that our separation of powers has played out. The president has invoked the sole power, and the National Assembly has ratified it. And the Supreme Court gave a judgment which this president has ratified. That is what is on the ground. It's not theory. That's the rule of law. Sam?
All right. Well, let's look at the dynamics around the South-South Governorship Forum, which, of course, we know that in recent history, the South-South region has always been dominated by PDP. Those dynamics shifted largely prior, in the lead up to the 2023 election, and of course subsequent elections that have happened since then. So the conversation now is largely, people are saying, does this mean we are sliding into a one-party state? We've discussed this a little bit before, but given
but
the
you are
current...
something out, hit the nail on the head.
No, I'll allow you to do that. I'll allow you to do that, yes.
We all know what led to this. You get me? Even the Attorney General was mentioning somebody who you did not mention, who everybody knows was responsible for what is on the ground. But that is the fault of the party it belongs to. If you have the Trojan horse, if you have a Trojan horse in the city and you can't do anything about it, of course. That was how Greece won the war against Troy. The PDP had a Trojan horse in their compound and did nothing about it. And literally it is screwing them up. And what do you expect the opposition to do? The opposition, they say your enemy is the enemy. It's your friend.
Okay.
So you still don't get it?
No, I'll say the name. It's Wiki they're running around, right?
Sam,
great.
Why don't you mention it?
I mentioned it. So now, for the sake of balance, Mr. Sobowale,
yes.
Do you think? Let's talk about ideals and realities. When the president made that address and stated that the governor of River State was suspended and the other calls that he made, for the sake of balance, all the factors or all the elements that have been at play since this issue started, would it have been ideal to have also suspended the minister of the FCT, just like he did with Governor Fubara? Since those are all the factors, those are all the elements that are involved in this situation.
The problem is between the governor and his legislature. They have that is what is happening now. The judiciary is still on the ground,
yes,
functioning, but the legislature and the governor, the executive, they are the people at each other's throat. Now, for them not to dismantle stability and create insecurity, the government has suspended them for 6 months and put in place somebody to look after the place until there is peace and stability.
So there was no need to have included Wike in that.
Wike is Minister of...
I'm aware, but I'm aware.
We are putting Wike on trial in absentia.
I'm not putting him on trial. I'm not putting him on trial. I'm asking about balance. They need to not appear as though one is taking sides in the matter.
You can... I have mentioned the negligence of the PDP. You are not discussing that. And we have discussed it here several times. That they should reorganize their party to form a formidable opposition. You get me? If they had done that, if they have called Wike to order, we wouldn't have reached this impasse, whereby the president is doing his job because the buck stops on the table. If he has not done it, it's the same set of people who will be vilifying him that is like Nehru, filtering while Rome was burning. What's your next question?
Remember, will ask you.
So, I mean, I'm still focusing on the implications to opposition in Nigeria, the South-South bloc. Even as far as Southeast, there's an election coming up in Anambra State, and we know that PDP has been unable so far to field a candidate because nobody's willing to pay, is it 40 million naira for the form when the party is in disarray? What do you foresee being the fate of the South-South bloc, the fate of Rivers State specifically, as things start to align? We are seeing coalitions being formed by Atiku, Al-Rufai. A number of people have come together to form a mega. Yes, they addressed the press conference, but it looks like the South-South is, because it's the golden goose, it's up for grabs. What's your analysis of what could likely play out over the next 6 months, specifically the 6-month period that the governor is said to, he will be, in essence, he will be absent?
There will be there will be realignment of forces. There will be a realignment of forces at the national level and particularly in Rivers State. I'm happy you mentioned that Rivers is golden goose, that the goose that lays the gold. So no president can preside over its liquidation or its degradation into insecurity. We are a mono-product economy, and oil is our lifeline. So no responsible president will see the threat of insecurity and fold his arms. So this president should be commended for what he has done and for the fact that the National Assembly goes along wholly with him. It's not every time you have that sort of consensus. And as per those who address the coalition of the president, that is part of the strength of our democracy. There are people tough enough to take on this president on the political arena. So I see a vibrant political system. You get me? And I'm happy that insecurity or violence has been averted. But that is, once that happens, it's a domino theory issue. Dominoes will keep on falling. And that has been averted by the strong action of the state of emergency. Next question.
No more questions. But we'd like to thank you for sharing your perspective. Arise News analyst, Mr. Dayo Sobowale, many thanks for joining us. Thank you.